Hello everybody, welcome back to Inside Man United. My name is Rowan Brennan. Welcome back to the show and thank you once again for joining me. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. And of course, at the end of this video, if you think the content is good, give it a like as well. It means a lot. So I just wanted to do an episode today. Looking forward to our game against Brentford this weekend. International football coming to a close, and safe to say that our boys have done quite well. In particular, special mentions to Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho. Kobbie Mainoo stating a case to not only be included in the squad for the Euros, but to actually be a starter. And he's done very, very well when he's come in. And every pundit from every corner of the media outlets have been praising Mainoo in his maturity, his ability to just slot into this team. He really, really is a special player. And when you combine him with Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham, I think England have a very, very special midfield that is going to be doing them a lot of good work for the next 5 to 10 years at least. And England, they're one of the best squads in the world now, and it's a shame that Gareth Southgate's in charge of it. He plays such negative, shit, dreary football, and I commend him for giving Mainoo a chance, but generally he's not been the most forward-thinking, attack-minded, creative or imaginative manager, given the level of talent that he has at his disposal. But when you've got Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, Kobbie Mainoo, Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden and Harry Kane, I would imagine they are going to be the front three. And then with the likes of Jared Bowen, Anthony Gordon, Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, and others stating a claim for the England attack, I think things are looking very, very exciting for that England setup. And of course, they've got class players in defence from John Stones, Kyle Walker, Luke Shaw. It's looking very good for England. So I think they're going to do some pretty special things once they get a good manager in place. I don't think Southgate's going to win a thing with that team, but let's see what happens. Alejandro Garnacho also being given a chance to stake his claim to start in the Argentinian 11 again. World Cup winners, and England being one of the best squads in the world. It says a lot about United and their youth team setup and the coaching that these two players have been able to stake a claim in two of the best international setups going in world football. I mean, other than France, I see Argentina, France and England probably having the best squads, maybe next to Portugal as well in world football. I think they're better than pretty much anything that's out there. So it's exciting times for England fans. But I think we're all going to be happy to wave bye-bye to these international friendlies and welcome back some Premier League football. So we look ahead to the game on Saturday at 8 o'clock at Brentford at the G-Tech Stadium. Both teams carrying in different sorts of form. United not exactly lighting the place on fire, but we've had 8 wins out of 10 with our 2 losses coming to Man City and Fulham. But in our last 10 games, we've only had 2 losses, and I believe we've won the other 8. And Brentford taking in a very different kind of form. They have lost 13 out of their last 17 games, with the other 2 results being 2 wins and 2 draws. Those 2 wins coming against Sheffield United and Wolves a number of weeks ago. They have no wins in their last 5, I believe, and they are taking very poor form into this game. And to be honest, they're a bit of a wounded animal, far more than United could ever conceivably think they are as well, especially off the back of great international performances from our young lads and off that great win against Liverpool. Hopefully spirits and confidence is high. Some players are well rested. We've got players coming back from injury as well. So both teams coming in with various types of form. Although United are not convincing in their displays, they are managing to kind of grind and eke out wins, and I'm hoping that they're going to be able to put in a performance now. I think United's tails are up, and it'll be time for those who need to stand up and be counted. In terms of injury news, United's backline decimated as always. Harry Maguire limping off in the game against Brazil. Will he be fit enough to come back in time? I don't think he will. It is a bit of a risk. So in terms of himself and Lisandro Martinez, also away with Argentina during their international matches, and tipped to be fit enough to come back into this game, whether he starts, I think that might be a little bit too much to ask, but stranger things have happened. So I think it's going to be a big ask for Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez to be considered potential starters in this game. However, I think it's going to be business as usual everywhere else in the park. Aaron Wan-Bissaka coming back into fitness again, still looking reasonably good against Liverpool. And we'll have a little look at what I think the predicted lineup is going to be. In terms of injuries for Brentford, it does look like that Serge Reguilon is banned, I believe, for this game. He might be suspended. I don't think it's an injury. I think it's a suspension. So Sergio Reguilon, I think he may have been looking forward to coming back and showing Manchester United why he was wrong, why they were wrong to let him go. I think every fan across the land was sad to see him go, and I think it was a big mistake for Ten Hag to rely on the physio's feedback that two horribly injury-prone players who have been out for a huge part of this season could be relied upon for the latter half of a season in which, getting fourth was very, very important. I'm amazed that they didn't bring Reguilon on. But again, their FFP restrictions probably would not have allowed for that. But again, I think it was a little bit short-sighted, and we're paying the price for it now. Ben Mee is also on the injury list as well for Brentford. So it is thought that Thomas Frank is going to resort to a 3-5-2 with three kind of central defenders, and then packing out that midfield with a five-man midfield with Ivan Toney and Tony Visa up front as well. So I think they're just going to try and play for a draw. If I'm being perfectly honest, they will try and take their opportunities, of which I believe United will give them plenty, as is the way we play. But I think it's going to be a 3-5-2 from Brentford, packing out that midfield, doing the best they can with the players they have available in terms of defence, which is nice to hear because it's going to give our attackers some opportunities. And hopefully get Brentford concentrating on not conceding instead of trying to exploit the defensive frailties that we have within our own starting 11. And having said that, let's take a quick look at what I believe the starting 11 is going to be and how I think we should approach this match. So here we take a quick look at what I think the lineup is going to be against Brentford, given our injuries and a few other little bits and pieces that we need to consider. So first and foremost, I think we're going to see Diogo Dalot cover on that left-hand side with Victor Lindelof, being a little bit more comfortable on the left than Rafael Varane is. So I think Lindelof is going to be coming in for Harry Maguire. Wan-Bissaka not coming back from injury a minute too soon, and has done reasonably well, and hopefully he can continue the reliable form we've seen in the couple of games that he's been in since he's been back. In midfield, I think it's quite clear that we're going to have Bruno, Mainu and McTominay. Sofian Amrabat not really in consideration or even having a chance of getting a look in with Erik Ten Hag. It's quite widely accepted now that he's not going to be getting any sort of game time with Manchester United between now and the end of the season if other people are fit, and he definitely hasn't done enough to warrant getting a transfer fee. And with Casemiro out injured, I think we're going to see Mainu and McTominay come in there now to deputise in their absence. Up top, I think we're going to see Rasmus Højlund. Fitness might be a little bit of an issue there, but if he needs to come off, we can stick Rashford into the middle as well if needs be. We've got Amari Forson. Amad Diallo, of course, is suspended for this game as well. But we do have options in case Højlund does need to come off a little bit earlier. I think Rashford is going to slot in there. So I think that is going to be the standard way our 11 is going to look. And I think it's quite nailed on that this is going to be our starting 11. Now, in possession, I think we're going to be seeing United doing the classic 3-4-3 box midfield formation with Lindelof, squeezing out onto the left-hand side of a three-man defence. When we're in position with Dalot, maybe slotting into the midfield there in beside Mainu and allowing McTominay to get forward a little bit more. I think McTominay is certainly the stronger goal threat between himself and Mainu, so I don't think he can really rely on McTominay. And McTominay has shown himself to be unreliable when it comes to the defensive side of this game. But is he good enough to be someone that is an attacking threat who can start for Manchester United? No, but for many other Premier League teams, I believe he could be. But you can't doubt the guy. He's got 9 goals this season, and he saved our asses against Brentford last time. So, let's see what he can do. Now, Bruno has been speaking about one of his best games in a United shirt was when he played as a number 6. He likes to kind of be that deep-lying quarterback playmaker role, and it is somewhere that he said that he can see his career going towards in the latter stages of his career. And he's so dogged and covers a lot of ground and, likes to bark and snap at people's heels, where you could kind of see Bruno maybe taking his seat a little bit further back with the likes of Mason Mount maybe coming in at that number 10 position. Amari Forson, Amad Diallo can come in there as well. well. So Bruno, you might see him coming a little further back when Mainu has an opportunity to get forward. Maybe Bruno is going to identify some opportunities when he's a little deeper in the pitch. And I think we're going to see McTominay staying up front quite a bit, with Dalot coming in that midfield area to maybe help out with the defensive area that Bruno can't. Now, when out of possession, I think we're going to see Mainu a little bit more withdrawn. He's going to be kind of anchoring the midfield in a number 6 role. I think McTominay is going to be transferring between 6, 8 and 10 a lot of the time here. I think out of possession, McTominay is going to have to come onto that left-hand side and give a little bit of cover that I don't think we can really rely upon Rashford to give. So in the absence of Rashford going to be tracking back a huge amount, I think it's safe to say McTominay is going to be coming back and helping Dalot on that left-hand side, with Lindelof coming in there as well when needs be. So I think in possession, you're going to see Dalot again coming into that midfield square, but he's going to be kind of deputizing between the left and the right-hand side here, while Bruno, does get a little bit more advanced. And there might be opportunities for Mainu and McTominay to get in on the action a little bit more, and for Højlund to drop down a little bit deeper, which we've seen him do so effectively during his time as Atalanta, and is trying to do with the likes of Rashford and Garnacho. And now whether he plays a bit more withdrawn to play in Rashford and Garnacho, who are going to try and take on those shots, or whether there's the opportunity for Højlund to then get a little bit more forward and get onto the end of those 1-2s with Bruno and McTominay in support, with Dalot and Mainu, staying at the base of that midfield, giving us that classic 5-5 that Ten Hag tried to work with earlier in the season with Mason Mount, which was a disaster. But we're going to have two more defensively minded players in terms of McTominay and Mainu, although McTominay, we say defensively minded more so than Mount. But again, I think that is going to be the kind of the 5-5 that we're ideally going to be going for. And I think there's going to be goals in this game. Brentford actually have 2 more goals scored than United so far this season. United are in the bottom 6 of teams goals scored in the Premier League, with 3 of those teams in the relegation zone. So goals have not been a huge part of our game, but I think we're starting to see goals kind of creep in a little bit more. Garnacho certainly in a rich vein of form. Mainu, I believe, giving us a little bit more solidity. Hopefully Bruno has a more creative game than what we've seen from him for a majority of this season. Hopefully Højlund can stay fit as well. So in terms of prediction for the game, I think we're going to get some goals. Brentford are going to sit back a little bit. I think they're going to try and take their opportunities when they get them with Visa and Ivan Toney. I think they're going to try and pick the ball up a little bit deeper and run on and try and get some breakaways. I think United are going to get plenty of opportunities in this game to test that 3-man defence that I predict Brentford are going to play with. They've got their own injury woes to contend with, and hopefully we can take advantage of that. So personally, I think it's going to be 3-1 to United. I think we've got some good players to come back. I'm hoping to see Mason Mount come in as well. I'd like to see him come in either as a number 10 to rest Bruno if we get that opportunity. Bruno again with goals and assists while on duty with Portugal, and just doing for Portugal what he's just not been able to do as much for United. Maybe that's because he feels a responsibility to run around and do the job of other people and try and put out fires and bark at people's heels and do more than what his job description is, which is to create and get forward and look towards his own goal as opposed to towards the opponent's goal as opposed to back to his own. But I would like to see Mason Mount be introduced into this game. If we do take a lead, it might be worthwhile resting Garnacho and bringing on Anthony. Just try and get him among the action. He was dropped for the Brazil squad as well, and he's been taking some private training to try and get himself ready for the run into the end of the season. Hopefully get a little bit more game time and play his way back into the Brazilian squad as well. And if he can play anyway like he did against Liverpool, and get his head right, and also be able to provide that defensive cover with Wan-Bissaka as well on that right hand side, that would be hugely beneficial. Garnacho has absolutely been busting his lungs all around the pitch. So I think Wan-Bissaka is going to see plenty of cover and help from Garnacho, but I think McTominay is going to have a bit more responsibility on his side of the pitch to help out Lindelof where Rashford cannot. So that's my prediction. What are your thoughts? Put it in the comments. What do you think the score is going to be? Do you agree with that lineup? Do you think we should be mixing things up a little bit? Do you think Lisandro Martinez should start? Do you think we should maybe wrap him up in a little bit of cotton wool? And does Rashford deserve to play? Been dropped from England. Obviously that was a bit of a kick in the teeth. Both Jared Bowen and Anthony Gordon have been given the nod ahead of Rashford in that attacking lineup. And, should our highest earner be someone that is on the bench for England? I don't think so, but I don't think Ten Hag is going to drop Rashford for a game like this, especially given the fact that he didn't get much game time for England, so he should be fresh and ready to play this game. But I would like to see Mason Mount come in and do a little bit of work on that left-hand side, come in there, show what he can do, and try and get him on the scoreboard and give him a little bit of confidence for the run-in between now and the end of the season. As always, thank you very, very much for joining in. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, thoughts in the comments, and I will see you on the next one.